Welcome back everyone for tutorial number 4. Okay, so by this time, hopefully you have built out your job objectives. Showing you guys how to create a few of them. I'm going to take you through mine really quick just so that you can kind of see what I've built out. The production job objectives, again, are the easiest and most universal to understand, being that just about every organization has production objectives. And so I'll take you through those. I built out some activity objectives as well. I don't want you guys worrying about the quality objectives just yet. It is the bread and butter of what this application does is the quality objective. That is the coaching platform that you will use to really drive performance in your agencies or in your businesses. That being said, they are the most complicated to set up and understand. So I want to isolate tutorials to quality objectives. And so I don't expect that you guys have any of those built out just yet. Just to take you through the ones that I've created here, you can kind of see the list. I'm not going to go through each one, but we created the raw new auto policies one together. That's a production objective. I've clicked on the production box here so that we're just looking at production objectives here. If you click on the activity ones, those will show up too. But we're looking at production right now. The issued paid life policy ones, the auto loans, bank commissions, health premium. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the team area and we're going to start assigning these to team members or to employees so that you get an idea of how this translates to creating a holistic job objective for your agency or your business, and ultimately how it feeds into how you create goals for each individual team member. And so we're going to click on team. Hopefully, again, by this point, you have built out your production and activity job objectives. And we're going to click on Katie here, and just so that we can kind of get an idea of how to start assigning these job objectives and sort of what logic to use when you start assigning them to employees. So what you'll do is you'll click on their profile. Her account will come up like this, or her profile account will come up, and you'll see on the left-hand side here that there are five features to select from. On the left side, menu options, and then up on top there's four features up here as well. But I want you to focus over on the left-hand side. And this current month performance is basically when you do have job objectives. This is where they start tracking what their production is and what their activity is, and they start indicating what units they've sold and whatnot. Year-to-date performance is very similar. It's not an editable field. It just tracks it from a day-to-day basis. But the job objectives tab is features the one we're going to focus on right now, because we're going to assign Katie a handful of the job objectives that we've created. You can see here that there's this green bar. You may not have this green bar. If you're a brand new user to the application, then you will not have this green bar. The reason this bar exists is because once you've created job objectives for a particular employee, as long as they keep that job, they're still with you and their job objectives don't really change, you can just click that green bar right there, and it'll automatically transfer the previous year's job objectives over to the current year. But since the majority of you watching this tutorial are brand new to the application, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding these objectives one by one. I'm going to take you through adding just a few, and then you can figure out the rest on your own. And we're going to add a couple of production objectives, a couple of activity objectives, and then leave you to it. So the way you start assigning job objectives to team members, remember you remember that you've already created the job objectives. You've already decided what you're going to be focusing on as a business, and now the idea is who's going to be responsible for contributing to that goal that you've created. And so right now we have Katie up here, and we're going to decide what we want Katie responsible for producing, what we want her responsible for generating for the agency. So what we'll do is we'll click on this Add Production Objective box here, and this window will populate with a drop-down box. And what it's asking us is, what job objective are you wanting to assign her? And so it's going to do the drop-down box, and we're going to pick one. So we're going to pick raw new auto policies. We'll start with that one. If you're in the industry, this is pretty universal. She's a sales rep. She sells both property and casualty, and financial services. So she's going to have a handful of goals, but raw new auto policies is going to be one of them. Now, you're going to have to know two things when you do this. One is you're going to have to know what your annual objective is as an agency, as a small business. For me personally, I want to write 500 raw new autos a year. Now I have 3 people who are going to contribute towards that goal. I have myself and I have my 2 sales reps that are going to contribute to that goal. So I don't have to assign all 500 to Katie, but I have to decide how much of that 500 she's going to be responsible for. And I'm going to do this on an annual basis. And so you're going to have to keep in mind what your goal is as an entire business, as a business holistically, and you're going to have to keep in mind the fact that you need to assign this goal to her, not based on a monthly objective, but rather an annual objective. So the minimum target that I would expect for Katie would be probably around 180 policies a year. And the minimum just means that in order for her to hit her most basic objective, for her to be considered having met her goal, she would have to write 180 raw new auto policies a year. That's over 12 months. That's pretty doable. That's going to be probably less than, it's going to be about 15 a month. In fact, it's going to be exactly 15 a month. For her to hit the minimum expectations would be 180. Now there's a box next to this that says annual max target. Now that doesn't mean that she won't write any more than this number. It just means that I'm providing her a range of meeting her expectations. So I'm going to say that range is 220. So what that means is that if Katie finished the year having written 181 policies or 219, she met her objective. But if she happens to write 220 or more, she's now exceeded her objective. And in my business, that would mean that it could mean a bonus, it could mean extra income, it could mean some type of incentive, maybe time off, whatever it might be, or maybe what's important to the team member. But I create a range so that they can see that, okay, so I have a 40 unit buffer for meeting my objective. But if I write over that 40 units, then I exceed my objectives, and there's some incentive for me to do that. Some type of compensation of some sort. Doesn't necessarily need to be money, but some type of compensation. So when we add that objective, it automatically populates in here. So now she's got her job objective of 180 raw new auto policies to 220. We're going to add one more. This time we're going to add one that's currency based. So we're going to go with life premium sales. Katie's a life licensed team member. So my expectation is that she's writing life insurance. And I have a premium objective of $60,000 of annual life insurance premium. So if I want $60,000 of life insurance premium and I have 3 people producing it, I know that it's my primary objective as the agent or as the owner that I'd be writing the majority of life insurance. It's principally the only product I focused on as an agent. But I didn't write 60,000 on my own. I needed my 2 life licensed team members to contribute to that. So I would expect a minimum of 15,000 of life insurance premium written by Katie to meet her basic expectations. And then I would create a top end of 18,500. So basically, again, going back to the same logic that we used to write raw new auto, in order for her to meet the basic minimum of her expectation, I would say, hey, I need you to write 15,000 of annual life insurance premium this year in order to meet your expectations. To exceed it, there could be some type of compensation for you at the end of the year if you happen to exceed it. Again, you can select what that is as the owner, but I would say in order for you to meet that or to exceed that expectation, you need to write more than 18,500. And again, this application is going to break this down on a month-to-month basis for the team member to see where they stand on any given month. All right, so those are your 2 production objectives for now. You guys can go in and you can you guys can go in and assign the rest of the production objectives you want each team member having on your own. But I do want to assign a couple of activity objectives using the same logic. So raw new auto quote volume is something we'll look at right now. A couple things you'll need to know in order to assign a quote volume objective. You'll want to know what you're looking at to achieve on an annual basis. So if you're looking to want to write 500 raw new auto policies, then you need to know what your conversion rate is. So, or what your conversion rate you've historically had. So if you have a 20% conversion rate, then you're looking at needing to quote 5 times as much business as you're actually writing. So so if my objective is that Katie is writing 180 raw new auto policies a year and her conversion rate's 20%, the expectation is that she's quoting somewhere in the neighborhood of 700 autos a year, and she would, in order to get to 220, it would be about 1,030 around there. So that would be the annual quote volume expectation. And again, the application, this sounds like a lot, but this is an annual goal. So when you start thinking about what that means on a month-to-month basis or a week-to-week basis, it starts to become very doable. And so just keep that in mind. All right, so we're going to leave you with that. I'm going to go ahead and end the tutorial there. You guys should be able to assign all production and activity objectives to your team at this point that you've created. So go ahead and do that, and I'll bring you guys back for tutorial number 5, where we'll start talking about, we'll start going through all the production objectives, and we'll start talking a little bit about the quality objectives and how to create them and deliver them. All right, thanks.